So if you've been following along, you know the last couple of videos were about chapter 6. The Tuesday one was the whole story. 26 years, the cactus, the whole thing. This one's different. I want to actually open the book and read you the parts that I feel are worth going over. The lines I sat with the longest when I was writing it. And then I just want to talk about what they actually mean, because some of these are easy to read and very hard to live. So let me start at the top of the chapter. This is the first thing I say, and it's basically the whole thing in 2 breaths. You are here to place, to position, to choose, and then let your frequency do the building. And that's it. That's the entire pivot of the chapter right there. So for insight, I want to share roughly how long it took me to even understand that sentence. For most of my life, I was a pusher. If something wasn't happening, the answer was always push harder. Right? More effort, more hustle, grind it out. And what this line is saying, that's not how it works at the level that actually has an impact. You're not here to shove your life into place. You're here to place one thing from the right frequency and let what you're broadcasting do the construction. Push is force. Place is precision. Completely different energies. And the next bit makes it concrete, because let your frequency do the building can sound a little too abstract. So here's the image I used. The third dimension feels like effort, like control, like climbing an endless hill with a backpack full of old stories. You're told you have to prove your worth, perform your value, hustle for your dreams. But in 5D, that hill, it becomes a blueprint. You don't climb it, you design from the top of it, because in 5D, you're not reacting to a world of cause and effect. You're initiating from alignment. This is the dimension where choice is not a decision, it's a structure. Where each frequency you hold becomes a brick, each act of presence becomes a pillar, each embodied truth becomes a beam of light that holds the form of your reality. Right? Let that sink in. You're not chasing a future, you're building one. And the material is you. That's the line. Because when I think about what that actually means, I used to think the material of my life is out there. The job, the money, the circumstances, the other people. So I would try to rearrange all the external stuff, right? But the material was never out there. It's your frequency. It's what you're emitting. You're not chasing a future that exists somewhere ahead of you. You're building it. And the bricks are made out of your own state. Peace is a brick. Panic is a brick. You're laying one or the other every single day, whether you mean to or not. And the hill thing, I love that, because the hill never changes. The mountain's the same mountain. The only thing that changes is whether you're at the bottom, straining up it, or at the top, designing from it. Same life, different position. Reality doesn't respond to want. It responds to coherence. Not what you hope for, what you are. And I need to sit on this one for a second, because it undoes most of what people are taught about manifesting. The whole culture says, if you want it badly enough, visualize it, ask the universe, hope hard. And this line says none of that touches reality. Reality isn't reading your wish list. It's reading your coherence. Whether your thoughts, your feelings, your body, and your actions are all transmitting the same signal. You can want abundance with everything you've got. But if underneath you're broadcasting, there's never enough. The field reads the broadcast, not the want. It doesn't respond to what you hope for, right? It responds to what you are. Here's where it gets interesting, because there's a version of this that gets twisted. This isn't the field rewarding you for getting coherent, like a vending machine. It's not judging you. It always mirrors. It reflects back whatever you're actually transmitting. No opinion, no reward, no punishment, just a mirror, which is honestly more demanding than a reward system, because you can't perform your way past a mirror. It shows you exactly what you are. Now, this next passage, if you saw that cactus video, this is the line I was circling that whole story without directly saying it. You don't control outcomes. You attune to them. You don't micromanage timelines. You collapse them by showing up in the frequency that matches what you desire. You don't hustle. You harmonize. In 5D, the moment you decide something, not intellectually, but vibrationally, it begins to take form. Not because the universe is rewarding you, because you've dropped into the field where form follows energy in real time. You're not here to predict the future. You're here to become the version of you who makes that future inevitable. That last sentence, you're not here to predict the future. You're here to become the version of you who makes the future inevitable. That's the whole thing I got wrong for 26 years in one sentence. I thought I needed to see the future before I could move. Show me where this goes and then I'll commit. That's trying to predict it. That's the survivor. And the survivor will never let you move because the future is the one thing you're never given. And this line flips it. You don't predict it. You don't need to see it. You become the person who makes it inevitable. And then it just forms. Because that version of you couldn't produce any other outcome. I couldn't have predicted the books. But the moment I became the guy who places the block without seeing ahead, they became inevitable. Not visible, inevitable. There's a difference, and the difference is everything. Now, the chapter doesn't pretend this is easy. And I don't want it to. Because the second you start doing this, the second you start placing blocks from a new frequency, something in you starts to panic. And the chapter names exactly what that is. The section's literally called, What Blocks the Architect? That's not intuition. That's the echo of your survival self, the ego. The ego is the greatest block to the architect. Not because it's evil, because it has a very specific role, survival. The ego only lives in 3D. It was built to protect you in duality, in a world of threat, lack, judgment, and survival. It's the guardian of the past, the narrator of caution, the builder of walls, not bridges. It clings to what's familiar, even if that familiarity hurts. It doesn't care if you grow. It cares if you're safe. And here's the kicker. In 5D, safety isn't about control. It's about coherence. So when you start choosing from soul instead of fear, the ego freaks out. Not because you're failing, but because you're no longer feeding the identity it spent decades protecting. If you saw the Tuesday video, that's him. That's Agent Smith. That's the voice that ran my life for 26 years. And what I want you to catch here is what the chapter's careful to say. He's not evil. The survivor isn't your enemy. He's a bodyguard doing the one job he was built for. Keep you safe. Keep you alive. Keep you exactly where you are, because where you are is where you've already survived. That's why he's so convincing. He's not lying to you. He genuinely thinks he's protecting you. He builds walls because walls keep things out. That's his whole skill. The problem is you can't build a new life out of walls. You need bridges. And the survivor doesn't know how to build one. He can't. It's just not in him. Right? So if you can't fight him and you can't reason with him because he's better at reasoning than you are, what do you actually do? And this is where the chapter hits home. And it's the same place the last two videos focused on because it's the thing that actually works. Don't fight it. Don't try to bypass it. Don't perform your expansion to prove something to it. You thank it. You say, I see you. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I'm safe now. Not because I shrank, but because I chose to expand. That's the whole move, right? You thank it. You don't go to war with the part of you that's scared. You don't shame it. You don't drown it out, and you don't try to prove it wrong. You turn to it and you say, thank you. I see you. I know what you're doing. You were keeping me safe. And for a long time, I needed that. But I'm safe now. And not because I made myself smaller to avoid the risk, because I chose to grow. And here's why that works and fighting doesn't. Fighting the survivor feeds him. It tells him there's a threat. And a threat is exactly what he's built to respond to. Right? Thanking him does something he has no defense against. It tells him the job is done. The danger's past. He can stand down. And then he goes quiet. Not gone. He never fully goes, but quiet. And in that quiet, you finally get to build. So that's chapter 6, really. 6 lines, and the whole architecture is in them. You're not here to push, you're here to place. The material is you. Reality responds to coherence, not want. You don't predict the future, you become the version who makes it inevitable. The thing that'll stop you is your own survival self. And you don't fight it, you thank it. And look, I'm not reading you these lines so you'll go do something. This is just what I built and what it cost me to learn it. Your version of all of this is going to look like your version, and it's none of my business. But if one of these resonated, if one of them put a little crack in something, that's the one to sit with this week. Not all 6, just one. That's how it works anyway, one block at a time. The book's The Lucid Dreamer, if you want the whole chapter. But you don't need the book to start. You just need one line that wouldn't leave you alone.